Camera. Hello, world. Your favorite podcast host about cryptids, Anthony Diaz, with another live episode of 50 States of Terror. And I am joined by my good friends. They came back to the show. I don't know why they would, because they have amazing shows themselves, but they chose to spend their time with us at 50 States. And I'm going to tell an amazing story about what happened to them this past weekend. But before we do that, let's introduce the guests. We have Mr. Ben De Leon and Mr. Scuba Steve. Say hello, fellas.
Hello, fellas.
Hello, fellas.
You recognize these two from the Recycled Corn podcast, from Somewhat Supernatural, from All Content Entertainment. Their resumes go far deep into the world of content creation, and it's always a pleasure to have them on the show. But before we get started with what happened last weekend, how are y'all doing? And while you're talking, I'm going to copy and paste the links because I forgot to do that on my socials.
I'm doing okay, man. I'm still tired. I'm still super burned out from this weekend. I think the drive wore me down more than anything else.
The mental
was
part
the
of
investigation and the drive. Literally had maybe a total of like 6 hours of sleep the entire weekend. So I am still tired, and I feel like I just had my butt handed to me.
Dude, that paranormal hangover is legit. It's real.
That's what I said on Facebook the other day. And unless you've ever experienced it, you won't understand what we're talking about. But it's literally a paranormal hangover. No alcohol involved.
So that's a great segue to go into what happened last weekend. So y'all were on a paranormal investigation, and this is going to be the Halloween episode of 50 States of Terror. And I'm gonna butcher the name of the Celtic festival that the Halloween comes from, and I think it's pronounced Samhain. Samhain. Is that how you pronounce it? Okay.
Samhain.
So like the all of our traditions and all the things that you see that we as Americans do during Halloween, it all stems from a festival, and this is pagan origin. And a surprise, everybody who's American who listens to the show, a lot of our festivals and a lot of our traditions, a lot of our celebrations, things like that, derive from pagan celebrations. So, yep. I mean, that's what it is. But y'all were on a paranormal investigation at Mineral Hill House that's located, I think, west of Dallas, right?
Yes, west of Dallas. I had to do Never Eat.
It's the Haunted Hill House in Mineral Wells, Texas.
Yes. Mineral Wells, Texas. So this house is it's all over social media. It's all over. There's a couple of YouTube videos. There's a couple of stories. A couple of other paranormal teams that have gone in there and done their own investigation. And this house is incredibly active. And I was on the live when I saw one of the major things that happened during the investigation, and that was nuts. But
are you talking about when I became the fastest man alive?
you did like the first quarter of the first quarter mile in 0.0 seconds, man. But first tell us why Mineral Wells, why Haunted Hill House, and I know, Scoobs, you've been doing paranormal investigations for a very long time, and Ben, you've joined on a handful. But why did y'all choose this one this time?
So for me, I needed something big, something grand as my first. I don't want to say solo because, of course, the guys were there, but my first notch under Somewhat Supernatural investigations. I needed something big. I needed something that I knew was going to give us evidence. Now, there are other closer locations but none more infamous than the Mineral Wells Haunted Hill House. So when the idea came, I said, let's do it. Let's get it done. Ben was like, I'm on board. Like, screw it, let's do it. And this is a perfect time to go, you know, it's because, especially with it being spooky season.
Yeah, no kidding.
What better time to go to one of the most haunted locations, one of the most active locations in the United States, not just in the state of Texas, in the United States. Like, this place is very active. It doesn't matter what time of the year you go. It doesn't matter what time of the day you're there. Something, whether small or big, something is going to happen.
Like, as soon
And
as
so
we
for
walked
me-
in, I was gonna say,
Go
as
ahead,
soon as
Ben,
we
go ahead.
walked in, there's a necrophone going, and the house says, "Oh, it's Scuba," or "It's Steve." It's
No,
Steven,
it said
right?
Steve. It said Steve.
Like,
All
like,
excited, like Steve, like he's back.
yeah, like you're greeting a good buddy, like Steve. You know?
Yeah,
And so it kept talking while we're trying to fill out the forms. So Scuba actually had to yell out, like, "Hey, I'm coming. Can I fill out my forms first?" You know, like
Yeah.
they kept calling his name to try to get.
And we didn't
him,
have
like,
any cameras rolling. Like, we
like,
didn't have
come
any
play
cameras
with us,
rolling
come
at
play
this
with
time or
us,
anything.
you know?
Yeah, like it was like ready for us to do its thing. Like it wasn't going to disappoint. And not only did it say Steve, later on while we were still filling out forms and stuff, it went Scuba. And I'm like,
You gotta
okay,
be
like,
kidding me.
no, dude, it did straight up. And so, like I said, none of our cameras were rolling yet because we had just got let in the house and we were talking to Sonny and just, you know, getting everything squared away, making sure that we had the payment and getting everything good. And so, yeah, I knew something was going to happen because anytime I step foot in that house, I've had an experience, whether it's something tapping me on the shoulder or, you know, the poker chip appearing in front of us,
Grabbing your
whatever,
leg.
grabbing my leg, which Ben still has that damn soundbite as one of his things on his
Yeah.
roadcaster. So, it's something I knew something was going to happen. I didn't expect what happened to happen, but I'm glad that it did happen. And I'm glad that I got it on 3 different angles, 3 different cameras so that people couldn't be like, oh, well, he faked it, or, oh, he, you know, sat too far back and hit the bookshelf and that's what made it fall. No, you clearly see I'm nowhere near
And it
where
was a
those damn toys
live
came from. Like,
stream.
live
So-
streaming.
So let's talk about the device that you were talking about when you first entered in. For those who don't know about paranormal investigation, when you're talking about that device, I immediately go into what I seen on TV, which would be a spirit box.
So
Right.
it's
And-
very much like a spirit box, but it's basically a digital spirit box. And so it digitally scans instead of having your little spirit box, which scans radio signals. This is more of scanning digitally through either like an iPad or any kind of tablet or something like that. It uses that technology.
Okay.
So they
Yeah.
have it connected to this really big old school they rigged it to where it works on an old school record player up top. So that's the speaker that they use, you know, just because everything in the house is kind of it builds the atmosphere, everything that's in the house. So it helps with I guess creating that feeling that you get in the house, I would say. To
Yeah.
be in the times of when this house was an actual house, or at the times it was an actual brothel, or whatever the case, when back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, that is what they try to use. So it's connected to this old record player. It uses the speaker, and so they always have that blaring because the spirits do talk to you. As soon as you get in the house, they start talking. And it was just random that it said Steve, like super excited to see me there, because, you know, something always happens when I'm in that house. So
It truly was incredible to not only witness what we're talking about, and I wish I had clipped it so I can save it, so I didn't think about clipping it so I can post it on live. But the way in which y'all, because it was you, Ben, and Ben, it was your wife, your son, and then your buddy Ricky was on the investigation. And has Ricky ever been on an investigation before?
No, and neither has Tommy. Neither of them have ever been on anything paranormal.
Did you give
Tommy
it like
he went through Sixth Realm.
Oh, that's right. Tommy did go to Sixth Realm.
Okay. So did you give them any type of like fair warning of what might have happened in the investigation?
So I was trying not to give away a lot. I told them, if you want to find anything out about the house, Google it. I'm not going to tell you my experiences. I'm not going to tell you anything about the house. I'm not going to give you any history. I told them specifically when we got there, we did not want the history tour. I wanted them to experience it on their own and find out whatever they find out. Tommy did a lot of research, found out a lot of stuff about the house. So he was very anxious and very nervous when we first went into the house. Ricky was more nervous and anxious because he's never done anything like this before. So that's what had him on edge. But as the night went on, he just kind of got very relaxed in the house. And some stuff happened with him, but not to the extent that it did with me, or I don't even really know what Ben got, because Ben and I really weren't investigating together. I was off doing my own thing. Him and Sandra were off doing their own thing. So
no, Sandra and Tommy were. I was on my own basically the majority of the night. I mean, I did do a little with Sandra, but for the most part, I was in the nerve center, watching the cameras, on the mic or on the walkie, telling people, check this out, check that out, ask this question, don't, try to steer. I was playing director. But I did do some stuff on my own just because, like I said before, Hill House, like the first time that I went, I kind of bitched out and I didn't do anything on my own. So I was like, this time I'm going to be by myself. I'm going to do some stuff on my own. And so I kind of feel like I redeemed myself.
Yeah, definitely. And, I felt the same way, because every time that I've been there, I never did anything by myself. I never went anywhere by myself. I was too scared. And so all week I was just like, you know what? You got this. You've been there. You know what the house holds. You know what to expect. So go into a room by yourself. Go do stuff and that's what I was doing, and walking into places that, last year I definitely would not have gone by myself. So I feel you on that, wanting to prove to yourself that you can do this stuff.
Yeah.
Did you end up getting any action, any responses, Ben?
Not directly. The only thing that really happened to me was when Sandra called me upstairs and she heard a bang, like on the roof or in the wall or something like that. I went up there thinking like, okay, it's over. Well, it happened right in front of me. You know what I mean? Like I had my hand on the wall while something was either on the roof or inside of the wall. And they're like, okay, well, maybe something's in that walkway going through, because there's a tunnel that goes from one room to another. They're like, well, maybe something's in there, like crawling from one thing to the other. But we went through there. There was nobody in the house besides us, at least that we could see, So I was thinking somebody was throwing rocks up at the roof, and you could hear them rolling down. But then when I had my hand on the thing, it was going side to side. It wasn't going, and it wasn't just like like say you throw a rock and it goes across the roof like that. It went that way, and then it came back the same way that it came. So it's like something was up there running around. So we called up the owner, and he checked the cameras. He goes, there's nobody around. He goes, we have 360-degree coverage of this property. There's nobody there. So he goes, whatever happened was happening from from the house,
inside the house.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it like that because it sounds like kind of like
from
the
inside
movie.
the house.
Came from inside the house.
It's inside the house.
I know. I saw on one of the feeds, because for those who are obviously listening and not and didn't watch the live, Scuba had the brilliant idea to have upwards of, I think, 5 different feeds coming from his live feed. So
4.
I was eyeballing like 2 or 3 videos like at a time. Like I was like, because from all the rumors that I've heard, something has to happen, right? And I saw the one where Sandra I think was in one of the other rooms upstairs, and then an animatronic from the other side of the house started. And the only way the animatronic works is if a figure of human, not human, but like a physical figure has to walk in front of it in order for it to turn on. And no one was upstairs, and the camera was facing into the direction of the other room, and you see Sandra go, "What the fuck? What happened?" And then you hear the animatronic going off, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's about to start."
And that was kind of creepy because I was walking up the stairs when it happened, and so I thought maybe I triggered it, but they had walked up the stairs also, and it didn't go off, and it's nowhere near close to where even if you walk up the stairs, you would trigger it.
Right.
So my thought was maybe because they had their flashlights and they were moving the flashlight around, maybe it created a shadow or something that made it move. But going up there, we had our flashlights on, and it did not go off until we actually crossed in front of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that one right there, I can't confirm 100%, but more than likely there was something that they're messing around.
Now, I don't know if you saw the Tesla coil experiment that we did.
Oh, I saw. I was still up when the Tesla coil went off by itself.
Right, and that's what I was going to say was the Tesla coil. You know, we were doing a little experiment with it. We did get some good responses with the Tesla coil.
Real quick, explain what the Tesla coil does.
It's it like charges up electricity and it releases basically lightning bolts, like small little lightning bolts, plasma energy into the atmosphere. So it was like supercharging, and it was like glitching the cameras and stuff like that. So
yeah, it was really cool.
this legit like pumping energy out into the atmosphere. So
because
while we had
it wasn't even in the same
remember?
room. Yeah, the Ovilus went off. So I'm in the what's called the Psychomantium, which is just it's an enclosed room with mirrors where you're able to make contact with spirits relatively easy. So I took the Ovilus in there, which is another device that spirits can talk through digitally, and it said Tesla. So as soon as it said that, okay, I'm getting out of here, we're gonna grab the Tesla coil, plug it in, figure it out. So Ben gets it all set up, and when we started it in the living room, and in the nerve center, the cameras are glitching. So it's giving off tons of energy. So trying, like Ben said, supercharging whatever is there and whatever can feed off of this energy. And I think the craziest part was when Sandra and Tommy had gone upstairs and they were playing the Exorcist theme. And Ben and I are sitting in the nerve center. I don't know where the hell Ricky was. I think Ricky was on the toilet at that time.
Asleep.
And he was on the toilet most of the night. But we're like, what is that noise? And the cameras weren't wigging out. So I didn't put 2 and 2 together that maybe it was the Tesla coil. But then we walk out, and sure as shit, you see the Tesla coil pumping out electricity. And we
no one had touched it.
Nobody had touched it. I went and sat next to it. It was still in the same position that I left it in because I was the last one to mess with it.
Yeah.
And so as I'm sitting next to it, I start hearing music, but I don't hear the music that's being played up top. But the Tesla coil is starting to get more powerful and more powerful. And with the beats of the Tubular Bells song, it starts pumping through this electricity. So you hear Tubular Bells coming out, the Exorcist theme, from this Tesla coil.
That's
in like
nuts.
An electrical form, because there's no speaker, there's nothing audio on it. So it's the sounds of the electricity pumping out the theme for the Exorcist. That was creepy. It gave me chills. But like I said, I'm sitting 2 feet away from this damn thing, and so it was intense, man. That right there was pretty cool because like Ben said, none of us were around it. we're all accounted for on camera except for Ricky, who was in the bathroom. Don't put a camera. Nobody wants to see that. But you know, Ben and I were on the live stream. Tommy and Sandra have their video proof that we didn't touch any of that, and it just started playing the Exorcist theme through this electrical, you know, device. It was crazy.
Ricky needs to have like the body cam with the live cam and
oh dear God. Don't give him any ideas.
But it was cool because, you know, I felt a little like let down because I had never seen anybody do the Tesla coil experiment there at the Hill House. So I was all like, "Ooh, I went out and I bought a Tesla coil just for this little small portable." Just to find out that when I got there, they already had one.
They already had one there.
Using it. So I was all like, "Man, like I thought I was gonna be smart and some, you know, but no, like some day."
So the house comes with paranormal equipment there.
Oh, there's
they
tons
have
of stuff
everything
there.
you can think of. They have every single piece of paranormal devices that you can think of. They have everything.
Yeah,
so how does that work? So you sign up to go to this house, and they already know that you're there to do an investigation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're allowed to use their equipment. You're allowed to document whatever you want to document. Are you allowed to like broadcast that on your own feeds or
your socials? You can do the lives. The only thing that they have you do is you have to sign a filming release. So let's say once I get done editing my video together for YouTube, because I'm going to put it on YouTube, I'm going to edit everything together, because nobody wants to sit through a 5-hour live stream. You know what I mean? So
well, I don't know. I mean,
you did most of it, but normal people, their attention span isn't going to sit there and rewatch 5 hours of footage that I put out. So I'm going to edit it down to maybe 30, 45 minutes worth of stuff. And the only thing that they ask is that you send them the video before you post it.
Oh, really?
Because they want to make sure that you're not out there trying to debunk them or talking bad about the house or anything like that. So then they'll be like, okay, this is fine. And then you just repost it on your social.
Real quick. So before we get into the actual event, the main event that happened, I kind of was not like being like the guy who wants to debunk everything, but the one of the things that I saw that was extremely interesting were the dolls that were hanging on the roof of the same room. I believe it's just called the toy room now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, the dolls that were on there were shifting back and forth, and this was occurring after what happened to you. That we will get super in depth with. Did you go back to the footage and say no, that was from the AC unit, or no, that was from like you walking back and forth?
A couple of times, it was because the AC clicked on, but there were other times where the AC was not going. And it still moved.
Okay.
The doll that was on the wall hanging was not in range of the AC. So when those legs moved on that doll, there was no reason for that.
Okay.
At all.
So for the listening audience, let me try to do my best to describe. Let me use my authorship, my words to try to describe what happened. So during the live, there was another person who was with me during the live, and we were going back and forth and saying, "Oh, it was the foot. No, look at the foot. Look at the hand. Look at the foot. Look at the hand. See it move. Blah 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 blah." Well, I think the name was Slayer on the social. Shadow.
Yeah,
Shadow. Thank you. Shadow clipped one of the videos, and one of the dolls. If you were to like start at like 10 seconds in and then go to 15, 20 and then restart at 10 to get that clip, the hand jumps, and it jumps. See, on video, it's only looking like it's maybe like a small centimeter of a jump, but that's a video feed going into like a distance. So like the actual hand would actually jump like an inch or so. So the hand jumps, the foot, there was a foot on a doll. It was a brown, possibly a wooden foot. I don't know. But the heel and the ankle started to rotate. And Shadow and I were just like, Scuba, look at the shoe. look at the shoe. And man, I swear to you, some of these things, some of these videos I see on the internet where, you know, they're meant to scare you, or you kind of know that they're fake. Watching this thing live was super intense. And I'm sure, Ben, you saw, you were there when we'll go right into it. So I'm gonna do my best to describe what I saw. So Scuba, you were on the bed.
Mm-hmm.
There were two dolls that were in front of you, and they looked like old, like 1950s, 1960s ventriloquist dolls with top hats.
Yeah.
One doll didn't have a top hat on, but the hat itself was right next to it. So you placed the hat on the doll, and you were at least, from the video, maybe 3 feet from the edge of the bed, and the edge of the bed rested upon a wooden shelf, and the wooden shelf had maybe 2 or 3 shelves that were visible from the bed, and on top were I would say like 4 or 5 different types of dolls, 2 of which looked like crochet animals that were it looked like it were dense, so they had some weight to it. You reached forward, you put the hat on the doll, you go back, you're not even close to the shelf, and then you kind of go forward a little bit more, and then both dolls on the far right side they don't fly off the shelf, but it looks like the dolls got squished, moved, hit you, and then fell off the bed.
So as I'm sitting there, okay, because I put the hat on the dummy, I said, there you go, buddy. And I'm talking about what had happened to Sandra to the live. I'm like, oh, Sandra's still over there freaking out about going to the bathroom and hearing Ricky's voice, but Ricky was never in there. So as I'm saying that, I sit back, but I don't touch anything behind me, and I lean forward, and it doesn't fall when I lean forward. I stop to talk to the live, and all of a sudden, it was a clown doll and an old wooden bear.
Oh, okay.
It was like a wooden bear that would be like on a string for like a kid to pull. You know, like one of those old toys that had like wheels on it that you could just pull it. That's what it was, but it didn't have wheels on it. So when I lean forward, both of those fall, freak me the hell out. I become the fastest man alive. But let me tell you this. I said those toys hit me in the back because I felt on my shoulder, I felt it hit me. I felt something hit me. But when I went back and I looked at the footage, the toys don't touch me.
They don't
touch me. They do not touch me. But I swear on everything that I hold dear to me, I felt something hit my shoulder, because where they fell was more of close to my hip area. But they didn't touch me. They did not touch me. But I'm
so what touched you?
I don't know. Nothing came out on camera with that. So I analyzed that footage today. I made a TikTok of it. I posted a reel on Facebook. So the footage is out there for you guys to go and find it. Look up Lord Steven Scuba Cabra Vasquez. The reel's out there. It exists. You can look at it for yourself, judge for yourself. But I zoom in and you see that nothing hits me, but I swear on everything I hold holy that something hit my shoulder.
Ben, did you feel anything, or did you, what happened when you replayed that footage and you saw what happened?
My first thing was like, okay, I need to go check this area out. So when Scuba ran into, we heard his classic, no.
I didn't say no. I said, oh shit.
He comes running in, right? But I was like, I gotta go check this out. Before I look at any of the footage, I gotta go check this out. So we went into the room. the first thing I do is I look around. Is there string? Is there some kind of device that will pop it over, something like that? They're just trying to look for some other reason why this thing would have done what it did. But there was nothing. You can't even say like scuba like bumped it or whatever. Like there was no reason that thing should have reacted the way it did at the time that it did. So, I mean, if you take away all the probability of it being something else, all that's left is this, one little pocket here that it kind of maybe fits into, and that could be like, okay, then maybe maybe it was paranormal, you know. So then Scuba's like, I think I got it on camera, and I was all like, and I pointed like this, and he's like, let's go check out the recording, whatever.
Mhm.
So we went back. I got on the computer, rewinded the recording, and we checked it out. And sure enough, and he posted, he recorded with his phone. I think we all recorded with our phones. This is what we saw. This is what happened. And like I said, it was so cool that he got so many different angles of it. This way, people can't say like, "Oh no, like this wasn't this or that wasn't that." It's like,
Yeah.
clearly what happened is exactly what it shows. He wasn't touching nothing. It came forward on him. Why? Don't know. And you can't say like, okay, well, there was a strong fan going, because all there was an AC, like a window unit. And if you add one of those, they don't blow very hard. So why did this happen? Like, I'm looking for some kind of reason to not say that it's paranormal, even though, I'm a paranormal investigator, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I'm more of a why did it happen? I would prefer it not to be paranormal than is, because if it's not, then like, okay, there's scientific reasons why it's not. But if it is, God, that's a little bit harder to prove.
Yeah.
Were you skeptical about the paranormal activity going into these investigations?
I'm always skeptical. But at the same time, there's a little part of me that's like, what if? So that's why, like, the first time I went to Hill House, I bitched out because, I heard all these stories about demons and stuff, and I had read all these books about what they can do to you if you don't show them proper respect, or if they don't like you or whatever. So I went in there thinking like I'm screwed, like they're gonna, come after me. So I went in there, don't leave me alone. Don't, I don't want to be food for this thing, whatever. So, like I said, I took this as an opportunity to redeem myself to myself, and like I said, I think I did really well, but I wanted to prove that, if somebody was to say there's no way that that's paranormal, I'm like, okay, well, what did you want me to do? Because I did all the scientific, kind of ways to debunk it, and I couldn't fit, like, what was I supposed to do? Like cut the wood in half and see if there's any bugs in there or something? Like, how am I going to give you proof that you will say, okay, yes, this is paranormal? Like I'm trying to think like that in order to get that kind of proof, whatever, that it's not paranormal, because then if it is, then like I said, it's harder to prove. But I don't know.
Does your opinion on like paranormal activity in general, does that opinion change after every single investigation that you go on?
Yeah, because I'll start out. It's secular, because I'll be like, man, there's always a reason for everything, like it could be like the environment, it could be this, could be that. But then after something like this happens, like, dude, there's ghosts everywhere, man. There's ghosts, there's monsters. Bigfoot is real. Like, I don't know what's going on anymore.
Hey, Bigfoot is real. Where's the camera?
Yeah, he is.
Bigfoot is real.
So like, but then like I said, it starts all over again, because after the adrenaline comes down, and the high goes away, it's like, there had to have been another reason. Like, I just didn't think of it at the time or whatever. So
Well, and I know your relationship with paranormal Scoobs that goes way, way back. So there's no denying your position on paranormal, but to somebody who doesn't necessarily believe in paranormal activity and were to watch that one clip, like what do you say to that one person that's like, oh, it could be this, oh, it could be that, like do you find yourself defending
Well,
your position on paranormal, or like how does that work?
well, see, so I am a skeptic. That's the thing. Even though I've experienced so much stuff, even at a young age, my job as a paranormal investigator isn't to go in and be a 100% believer, because there's, like Ben said, there's explanations for everything. And not until I rule out every single possible explanation for something will I say that something is paranormal. Even
Okay.
after it fell, even though it hit me and it scared the hell out of me, I was still trying to think of logical reasons as to why this thing would have fell. Maybe the shelf wasn't deep enough for these two things, and it just was giving way slowly throughout the day or something, and that's what caused it to fall. Maybe it was the vibrations from the AC unit kicking on. So I did go stand when the AC was on to see if it was shaking the wall. Maybe the shelf was loose. None of that. Then I thought, well, what else could it have possibly been? Did I sit on the bed? So I sat on the bed and I jumped up and down to see if it would move the shelf, if anything else would fall. Even after I
Yeah.
placed them back up there, I even stuck them on the edge, to see if me sitting on the bed, moving around, I did everything that I possibly could think to try to debunk what just happened. And
Yeah.
that's what you have to do when you are a serious paranormal investigator. You can't just take everything for face value, because it could potentially be explained with something logical. Now, with this, I have no logical explanation for it. It's filmed on multiple angles. You can see I didn't hit anything. You can see I'm far away from anywhere being close to that shelf. That shelf was probably a foot and a half, maybe a little bit less than a foot and a half deep. So there was no way that those figures that were there just slipped off.
Yeah, and they weren't hanging from the edge either.
No, they weren't hanging from that. Now, one of them was a Bozo the Clown doll. The clown doll that fell was a Bozo the Clown doll, and the
It
other,
had to
like I
be a
said, was
goddamn clown doll, didn't it? It had to
Well,
be.
yeah, it was a heavy wooden toy. So how did, now I could have understood if it was just the Bozo the Clown doll that fell, because it's a light, doll with stuffing and stuff with the plastic
Right.
head. Cool.
Yeah.
It's top heavy. That could have knocked it down. But even if that clown doll fell, there's no way that the force of that alone would have caused the wooden bear to fall as well. There's none. There's no way. So even when I put, like I said, I put them back on the shelf, the leaning on top of each other the way it was before, got on the bed, jumped up and down, shook the bed, nothing. Did not move an inch. So the only thing I can think of is something paranormal, because I
Yeah.
have no other logical explanation for it. There was no wind hitting it. There was no air hitting it. There was nothing. There was nothing. And you can see the footage from the time I walk into the room and I sit on the bed. It doesn't move. And I'm moving around on the bed, even when I'm messing with the dolls. I have it in multiple angles. You don't see anything move until I sit back. I don't even sit back. I just sit up straight. I lean
Yeah.
forward, and then the damn thing fell on me.
Talk to me about what happened after the investigation was over and y'all were about to leave, and you felt, no, I think you said you heard something say you're not leaving, to that effect. And then what happened next?
So Ricky, I was packing up my gear. Ben had already packed up his gear and had taken it out to the car. I don't know what Ricky was doing or what room he was in or whatever, but he said he heard something say, "You're not leaving." And so when he got in his car, he heard it again. "You're not fucking leaving." And so when he went to turn the key, the car didn't start.
It was just click, click, click,
Click, click, click, click, click, click, click. So I'm like, dude. So he texted me freaking out. I didn't look at my phone because I was too busy gathering up my gear and making sure that I had everything. So Tommy's like, or somebody came and told me, I think it was Tommy, I don't even remember, that the van's not starting. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, it's not starting. So I go outside and I'm like, what do you mean the van's not starting? He's like, bro, it's not starting. I'm like, give me the key. I thought they were playing a joke on me
Yeah, yeah.
because that's the kind of stuff that we do, you know, we joke with each other. So I get in the car, I turn the key, and sure as shit, not only is it clicking, the key's getting stuck. So I'm like,
What?
don't tell me the ignition went out on your car. What the hell? We're 6 hours away from home. How are we going to do this? I could rent a car, no big deal, but how are you going to get your car home? Like at that point, that's your problem. Like, I don't know what to say, man. I need to get home. I was agitated because I wanted to get home to Charlie and Mel.
Yeah.
So I was working on 2 hours of sleep. We, you know, checked everything we possibly could, tried to jumpstart the car, you know, with a dead battery. You put the jumper cables on, let it go for a little bit, turns on, recharges your battery with the alternator. It wasn't doing that. Even though it was connected to another running vehicle, the battery was dead. So luckily the owners of the house took Ricky to AutoZone. They said, "Oh, your battery's at like 10%. It's no longer any good." He buys a new battery and I'm like, you know, I go to the negative place. I'm like, it's not going to start. It's not going to start. It's not the battery. It's the ignition with the way it's acting. You can't take the key out. Put the new battery in, starts right up. Something drained the battery overnight. Now, we could have left the lights on.
Yeah.
That's a possibility. But we had gone out. I had sent Tommy out to go get some stuff that was left in the car. I sent Ricky to go get Scorpion mount from the car. The lights
Sandra
weren't
and I
on.
went out.
Ben and Sandra went out. They would have noticed that the lights were left on.
Yeah. Even the interior, like even if they were dim, you'd have noticed.
Exactly. And nobody noticed anything.
Wow.
So Ricky had already said something told me you're not leaving before he even went to check the van. Before he even got to the van, he had already said that. He had already sent it to me in Messenger. And so could it have been user error and we left the lights on? Yeah, possibly. It's a 50-50 with this. It could have been that, or it could have been that the house didn't want us to go anywhere.
Yeah.
So that right there was kind of, and I wish we would have got footage of that because that would have made a great end to the show.
Right.
Edit it together, but we didn't even think about it. I was so pissed off that I wasn't going to be able to be home in time because, like I said, I only slept, 4 hours the night before, got up, went to Mineral Wells, then slept another 2 hours and at the actual house. So I had a total of 6 hours of sleep for the weekend. And yeah, it was just, it was very, very agitating. And I feel like anytime I leave that house, I always come home very agitated, always, never fails. But this time I cleansed myself. I made sure everything was cool, cleansed the car. The one thing I did not cleanse was my equipment. Completely forgot to cleanse my equipment. So that night, get home, watch the movie for the Gore and More podcast,
Mhm.
go lay down. It's like 10:30-ish, pass out. Mel wakes me up and she's like, I just had a dream that you were still at the Haunted Hill House, but it was back then. It was back in the 1800s still. And there was a lady that was wearing a light colored dress with like the big bustle in the back. She had her hair up. She had her hair up with a ribbon in her hair. And she was talking to you about a kid named Toby. And I said, well, that doesn't make any sense because Toby isn't a kid. Toby is the nickname of the demon that resides there. She's like, I'm just telling you, that's what she was calling him. She was calling him Toby. I'm like, okay, cool. No harm, no foul. It was just a dream. But then I look at my cell phone and it's 12:33 and Damien texts me, "Dad, I just saw a fucking woman standing in my doorway wearing 1800s dress with the bustle in the back. Her hair was up in a tail, blah blah blah." And I'm like, whatever. So I go to sleep. No big deal. Cuz he always gets paranoid when I do these investigations and he's always like, "Oh, you brought something home." And I'm like, "You just get paranoid, hush." So then I'm thinking about it more and more, and I'm like, well, it's just weird that Mel had the dream almost at the same time that Damien saw what he saw.
You're right. Right.
So I ask him to give me a better description. So he tells me, and I'm like, hmm. So I call Mel over and I said, tell him what you saw in my dream. What was she wearing? And Damien's like, shut up. And I told her that's exactly what Damien saw standing in his doorway. So maybe something followed me home from Hill House. I have no idea. I haven't seen anything. I haven't felt anything weird, but it's just a weird coincidence that Mel saw this lady in her dream and Damien saw her standing in his doorway.
You better start like dumping a whole thing of sage somewhere, man.
I already did. I already burned the sage, so we're good. We're good. This house is clean.
It's clean.
You need to burn sage and holy, but the actual person.
Shut the hell up. Leave my baby boy alone.
So is there a future in production for these type of things? Because I know during the live I was making a couple of jokes and I was saying so what you're saying is we need a fundraisers to get a shotgun mic. What you're saying is we need a boom arm. What you're saying is we need a road like a road equipment to bring out there and maybe road will sponsor an investigation. Like, is there a future in production that you want to maybe pitch this to a like a producer, or perhaps even make a dedicated investigation channel that may prelude a larger type of production?
So that is my plan right now. But I have an idea for a show that's never been done before. And so this was kind of a test to see if the cameras would work the way I thought they would. But the investigations wouldn't always feature me. I would be more of the Oracle character on screen, telling everybody what they need to do, what they need to accomplish.
Okay.
So this was kind of a test run for that to see if I could do an investigation on Restream while talking to Ricky and Tommy in one room and having a camera upstairs to talk to whoever was upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Because and I don't want to say what the full idea is here because I don't want nobody to take my idea, but nobody's ever done it before. But I do also want to put this in a show form, and maybe it won't get picked up because there's really, I mean, paranormal shows are a dime a dozen. Everybody does the same thing. There's nothing that sets me apart from anybody else that's doing this. You know,
like
so
Travel Channel has one, National Geographic has one, Discovery Channel has one. Hell, like even like Max and maybe even Disney has one as well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, and so I think I'm going to focus on a YouTube channel that is strictly dedicated to these investigations, edit them to the best of my ability, produce them as well as I can, because I had a list of experiments that I wanted to do, and we knocked out most of them that I wanted to do. There's a lot that wasn't live streamed. After we ended the live stream, we kept doing experiments even after Ben went to sleep. Tommy and I got together and we did some stuff too. So, we did an experiment that nobody locally's ever done before. So that right there, I'm going to edit that into the show as well. And I think I'm just going to focus on YouTube and getting it out there. And then once I can get a few investigations with my idea running, then I could pitch that to a show or to a network, because nobody's ever done that before. Nobody's ever done this idea. So it could potentially take off, and it could potentially be something that makes it onto some network.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Ben, did anything follow you home after
Well, I was gonna say
Mm.
first, the what Scuba was talking about. It's gonna be a collaboration with Recycled Corn, so it's gonna be called Somewhat Corny.
No, no, in no way, shape, or form. I don't need you calling me your assistant on my own show.
No, but no, Sandra actually was able to take care of us really well there at the like when the car started. She's like, "Here, hold on real quick," and she got me with the sage, and then she did a crystal on me, and then when we got home, she did some more stuff, whatever. Nothing experimental like I wanted to do, but whatever.
Jesus.
But no, she took care of us. She always takes care of the house. Right before we were about to take off, she burned some like really like hardcore incense, whatever. She's like, when they burn this, she goes, "This is the stuff the churches use when they're I forgot what it was called, whatever,
Palo
but
Santo.
it no, it wasn't the Palo Santo. It in the smell of this stuff lasted for about 2 days.
Good
And
Lord.
so like when we open up the door back here, I open up the door and that freaking incense, the smell just kind of like shot at me. Whatever it was attached to us just got knocked the hell back to hell. Um, so I slept like a baby, but it just not enough. I worked today and I'm still freaking exhausted. I was gonna go to sleep early, and then you're like, let's talk about it. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it before I forget, a lot of the stuff that happened. Um, so that was cool. Um, like, did we mention about Sandra taking that picture?
No,
at
we
the
didn't talk about the
mausoleum?
picture at all. I know we posted it on social media. So I wanted to get some B-roll footage at the Elmwood Cemetery that's there. It's this huge cemetery,
Yeah.
and they have mausoleums and stuff there. So Ben and Sandra got out with Tommy. Ricky and I drove around the cemetery so that I could get B-roll footage. And when we were coming back, Sandra was like, "Look at this photo," and it looks like there's a girl kneeling in the mausoleum. You see this face.
Yep.
Now people were like, "Oh, it's a hand. It's a hand," and I could see where you could maybe think it was a hand, except you don't see any lines of fingers. It's one solid piece. You know what I mean? There's no indentions where a knuckle would be or anything like that. You clearly see a forehead where hair should be, a nose, you see eyes, you see a mouth, you see a chin. Like
Yeah.
you see every aspect of a face. And
Yeah.
she
And
looked
the light angle and the light source, you would have seen a more prominent figure of a hand,
yeah.
but in the photo, it is a straight silhouette and some little outlines of a child. And even at first glance, I was like, "Yep, fuck that. Nope, y'all can have that."
So in going through my B-roll footage today at work, I put my headphones on and I was playing it on the camera and I'm just, watching the footage. I caught a it had to have been a kid or maybe a woman humming. And it just a quick like just like that. And it wasn't me and it wasn't Ricky. Because you hear Ricky saying something in the background and it's kind
Yeah.
of over his voice. And then we saw a whole bunch of deers, and I was like, "Oh, look, it's a skinwalker!" And it was weird though. I'm gonna show you that footage because I swear to God, that deer was a skinwalker because it looked at me and it just kept following us. And his legs looked kind of weird when he was walking. So I'm like, "Yeah, you can't fool me. You can't fool me, skinwalker." And then it had its head down, and when I said, "Hey, skinwalker," that was the only deer that lifted its head and looked at me.
Oh shit!
The other deers just kind of kept eating, doing their thing, and I'm like, all right, fucker, I see you. I see
I
you.
got you. I got you.
I got you on
So-
camera. You ain't fooling me.
Yeah, I know y'all. I know y'all have said that I would be the guy in the chair, but like, man, there's something about me that just makes it just way too So man, like, I don't want to come home and then see the Shadow Man inside my inside my bath, or what? Not the Shadow Man, the Hat Man, inside my bathroom, and then start seeing figures of Mothman and the Jersey Devil inside of in my backyard. Then I'm good, dude. I'm good.
Why not though?
I-
That's what we do this for, man. And then you got the proof right there that you need for 50 States of Terror. You are.
Oh, I know
golden.
they
You are the
exist, but I don't want
cryptid. You are the cryptid keeper. You know, and that's why we wanted you to go. We wanted you to go, and you didn't have to go and investigate the house. You could have just sat there and been essentially
in
what
the
you were
chair.
doing from home, the guy in the chair.
Yeah.
He's like, but I'm safe here.
And that's not entirely true.
Yeah,
that is
this-
not
I-
entirely
the
true.
stuff
Because
can
when
go through
Mel-
the lines and shit.
Mel Video called me when I was investigating the Old Park Hotel. And I was sitting in front of the Ouija board that was made out of a piece of one of the houses that was on I forget the name of the paranormal show, but it was a very, very well-known haunted house that got torn down, and Old Park had a Ouija board made out of it. So I have my
Oh,
phone
God.
propped up on the Ouija board, and I'm talking to Mel, video talking, and she's showing me Charlie. Charlie was still super small. Weird stuff started happening here at home. And I'm like, do not ever video call me or call me when I'm on an investigation ever again. I had to come home and cleanse the house. Like there was legit stuff happening here because of that video call. So it can easily, just from you watching the live stream, could easily be like, oh, look at this guy right here. Let's see where this guy is.
So the major school of thought is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it doesn't matter what location that you are in. If you have a connection through energy, then the spirit or the whatever can travel through energy and like pop out at the other side. Like if you were trying to explain a wormhole for somebody, it kind of works the same way. They just kind of like they travel through an energy source, and then if it just so happens to where the energy source is a electrical line or a object or video, then it's possible that an entity could travel that way. Is that
It's all
correct?
about energy, man. It's all about energy.
And I was laughing because I'm thinking about this dream that I had where we're watching a video, whatever, like Sandra and I, and then something comes out of the freaking TV, and it scared me so much that I woke up from my dream, and the way it happened was so like real, so visceral that I legit thought, like I told Sandra, you need to cleanse the house because I think something's here. So so I'm just like, man, like the things that have happened to me because of this hobby or passion that we have of the finding out, or at least attempting to find out what lies beyond. It can be a little maddening at times, I guess you could say,
Yeah.
because again, even if you prove that something happened or that something is there after we're gone, if you can prove it, that doesn't that change everything? Doesn't like do laws even matter anymore? Because like you can go on, like doesn't matter what I do here because I'm still, there's something else that I'm going to go on to, so why should I even care about anything here? So
There is a channel that I follow on YouTube and on TikTok, and I for the life of me, I cannot remember what the channel is, but it takes experiences, and you have like 4 different people. You have investigators, you have theologists, and you have philosophers, and you have like the normal, Joe Schmo, and of course you have the one who's like goes to church all the time and whatnot. And then they go into this like deep dive into experiences when you are about to die, like the last couple seconds before you finally kick the bucket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they take all these people in and they interview them, and there's a remarkable amount of similarities between all these different people that happen that right before they're about to die, and then they're revived. And it's phenomenal when you really truly think about the like the way the human brain acts right before you go. And you talking about, you know, religion, even if you're not religious, and they kind of explain the same instance of where like you kind of connect yourself with the universe again, and then the universe kind of like directs you where you're going to go after. And it's a phenomenal piece, and it's one of those things to where when you connect that while you're doing your paranormal investigations, and then you try to pick apart these instances and say, well, I mean, this could have been that, this could have been that, but this right here, I don't know how this happened. I have no idea. And every piece of me says that if this one instance is something paranormal and it comes from the other side, then you're right, Ben. There is a part of you that says, well, then the little shit that happens today doesn't matter. The little anthill that I'm making into a mountain doesn't matter, because if this is true, then I have another chance. I have another opportunity somewhere afterwards. I have another opportunity. And for a lot of people, for me included, it does give me a little like less anxious about growing old. But then on the flip side, it makes it just 10 times more stressful. You know?
Yeah.
But the one thing to take away is y'all's investigation was phenomenal. I think it was one of the ones that I actually stayed up, and as much as I could stayed up and caught the majority of it. Because for the listening audience, this used to be done on Facebook, and it used to be done through either you or Ben or someone who was there was live streaming the event on Facebook. And this was done in a brand new way that I truly hope that you continue to do it this way, where you have the live feeds, the different cameras, the multiple camera angles, the commentary while doing it, the instruction to tell your party to go to different rooms, who to antagonize, who not to antagonize, what to do if this happens. When you're watching it, it's really, really, really amazing. And I do hope that in the future, when you do these things, you do get picked up on a large production, because I think you and Ben have this amazing collaboration and an amazing chemistry between you two, that when we're doing jokes, we can be funny, but when it times to like, holy shit, that might be a ghost, it's like it's pretty funny. It's pretty great. But this is a Halloween episode as well. I do want to ask one question before we pump out, because it's over the 1 hour mark. What is your favorite Halloween tradition? Ben, go first.
Favorite Halloween tradition. For the past few years, my favorite Halloween tradition, and I wouldn't say favorite, I would just say something that just happens. Like I said, it's happened maybe the last 5 years, was me planning to do something for Halloween, like in February, talking about it all year, and then when Halloween comes around, I do absolutely nothing that I said I was gonna do. So like I said, I was gonna buy, all this stuff. I was gonna decorate the house. I was gonna, get this badass costume. I was gonna get tons of candy to hand out to the kids. I literally have done nothing.
Oh,
I do actually. I was able to score on Home Depot. I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but on Home Depot, those 12-foot skeletons that are
Yeah.
out there. I was
Yeah.
actually able to. They actually had a sale on them, so they were half off. I was able to get one for half off. So that's actually showing up on Halloween day, and
Nice.
so I may or may not put that out because as you can tell, I have Boner here, like there he is, and he stays inside. He's an indoor skeleton. He's been fully trained.
Yeah, he's trained. He's a trained skeleton.
There's pads down there just in case something happens, but this new wild skeleton, when I haven't had a chance to train it, so I don't know if I can trust it outside yet. So.
It stays outside.
But all right, your turn, Scuba.
I would have to say my favorite Halloween tradition is just dressing up and carving pumpkins, all the traditional stuff, carving the jack-o'-lanterns and making sure that it's outside on Halloween. So, you keep all the spookies away.
Yeah.
Real quick, I do have one thing to say. And this is something that really bothers me. Painting pumpkins is not making a jack-o'-lantern. It's just painting. So people, y'all need to stop that. Like, we're gonna make jack-o'-lanterns, and they just paint you're just painting a freaking pumpkin. That's not a jack-o'-lantern.
Let that be known. Ben from the Recycled Corn podcast doesn't think painted pumpkins are jack-o'-lanterns.
Well, they're not. They're not. Do you know what the original jack-o'-lantern was, though, Ben?
A turnip.
A turnip, yes.
Yeah, turnip.
Those are,
and I talk about that
creepy.
on Recycled Corn, the history of Halloween 2 episodes.
And I talked about it last year's Halloween episode of Somewhat Supernatural.
And we're doing it right now on my Halloween episode of 50 States of Terror.
Yeah. No, but I just love the tradition and the legends that come with carving a jack-o'-lantern and the reason that you put it outside. I love that. For me, man, it's Halloween 365 days a year.
Yeah. For those who are not watching the live right now, or who want to watch the live on YouTube, this will be available on YouTube under the tab live on my channel. Scoob's background, there are a plethora of Halloween stuff, but if you were ever to go and venture into the realm of what Scoob lives in, there are
everywhere.
There's one of the clowns from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. There's a life size, I believe it's Jason Voorhees. There's also Freddy Krueger sprinkled there in, where there's a memorabilia of horror films all around like that. Yeah, it's Halloween, 365 24/7 over there, and it's quite amazing.
Don't let Scuba fool you, though. That actually behind him is a shrine to me that he normally, I force him to have up. Actually, he tries to cover it up during these live streams, whatever. But
actually, this painting that I have here, it was actually one of Mel's friends painted it, and it is Mel as a Dia de los Muertos skeleton. So
yeah, it's badass.
Yeah. So I got my woman right there. I got my Dia de los Muertos candles lit, and I don't have any sugar skulls up yet. But
yeah, the one thing we haven't done is we haven't done an ofrenda yet.
Yeah. Well, you have until the second.
Yeah, you have until the second to do an ofrenda, so we'll be good there. Yeah, dude. Thank you both for joining this incredibly spontaneous episode, this live episode of 50 States.
Thank you for having us.
And I wanted to get information on the investigation while it was still fresh in y'all's head, because again, watching it live, when you see that doll move, and when you see those toys jump, come off that shelf, it literally was just like, well, okay, here we go. It's like, yeah. I'm gonna start praying the rosary from a distance for you guys. Like, oh man! But before we go, man, socials. Ben, what you got?
You can find me everywhere at I am Ben De Leon. Check out Recycled Corn on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all those good things. I got my stepdaughter getting married on November 2nd. So I am going to be, well, I'm already a grandfather, or whatever, but I guess I'm going to have a son-in-law. So
Oh, no.
Nice.
Nice.
things are changing in House De Leon. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Awesome.
But
Scuba, how
anyway.
about you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Host with the Ghosts. I am on Facebook as Lord Scuba Cabra. Just look up Lord Scuba Cabra. I'll pop up. I'll be there. I'm on TikTok also as Lord_Scuba Cabra, where I do post. Am starting to post more paranormal videos there. And as always, be sure to listen to my podcast, Somewhat Supernatural. If you love anything having to do with the paranormal world, I talk about it. And also, if you love horror movies, be sure to check out the Gore and More podcast, where we review horror movies every Monday. And then the audio episodes are available anywhere you consume your podcasts.
That's right. Everybody, please follow them. The Recycle Corn podcast. I am sometimes a guest on their show. Somewhat Supernatural, Gore and More. Everything these two individuals, these two men put out, it's amazing. And hopefully soon we will get sponsors so we can make a living out of this. I'm looking at you, HEB. I'm looking at you, HEB.
Come on.
We're all Texans. We're Texans here. I'm looking at
1877 water.
You see, even Ben is repping one of the waters.
And saying we were just in Mineral Wells, and that's where this is made, in Mineral Wells.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining me, and thank you all for listening and tuning in. Until next time, later, y'all.